Yo, welcome to episode 7 of Reezy Does It. I am T Reezy, and today we'll be discussing the teams left in the NFL playoffs. We got Kansas City versus Jacksonville, New York Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles, Cincinnati versus Buffalo, and the Dallas Cowboys versus the San Francisco 49ers. So, first game, Kansas City versus Jacksonville. How you feel about that game, Phil? And who do you think will win and why?
Pretty interesting matchup, considering that the both of them just played several weeks ago, with Kansas City just kind of running all over the field on Jacksonville. But the funny thing is Jacksonville actually forced 3 turnovers, and they just couldn't stop Kansas City from scoring. When you look at the whole totality of everything that's going on right now, both teams have won 5 straight, but Jacksonville has won by the seat of their pants the last 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Do they catch lightning in a bottle again and actually pull it off again, or does Kansas City do what they normally do, which is score and score often and fast?
I think Kansas City will score often and score fast. I think Mahomes is the better quarterback, and I think Kansas City will win the game, Phil.
That's a definite that Mahomes is the better quarterback, but he is prone to turn the ball over as well. So you have to take that into consideration. Jacksonville does have a pretty unique defense, and they are prone to shut people down at times. I mean, look at what happened last week. They were down 27-0. They only gave up 3 points the rest of the way.
Yeah, I saw that. Now, if Kansas City jumps out on Jacksonville like that, Kansas City will not let up like the Chargers did.
I don't see that either.
Yeah.
Not unless they can force some turnovers. They have to force at least 3 or 4 turnovers like they did in the other meeting earlier this year.
Gotcha. Phil, did I introduce you before we started? And if I didn't,
I'm not sure.
bad.
We're not going to get into trying to figure out whether or not I was brought into the fold or not. People know who I am.
Yeah, this is my homeboy Phil, y'all. This has been my guy for a long time. I don't want to give our age on this thing, you feel me? But if you know, you know. And I got my homeboy Phil in here with me. So, Phil, we're going to move on to the next game, man. We got the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. So how you feel about this game, Phil?
Well, if history has it right, Philly's going to struggle in this game because it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row in the same season.
Gotcha.
Whether or not Hurts is healthy is going to be the real question.
Thanks.
Is the shoulder right?
Right.
You can't just throw that under the rug and say, well, Philly's going to run over them and blah blah blah. No, that's not that easy. I mean, hell, the Vikings just beat the Giants about 3-4 weeks ago, and then you saw what the Giants did last week.
Yeah, we did. So who did you so you're saying the Giants, chances are the Giants can win the game?
No, I'm not saying that the Giants are going to win the game. I'm saying the Giants are going to give them trouble.
I hope you're right, Phil.
They're going to give them trouble. And they do have a chance of actually winning the ball game. Especially if they can force a couple turnovers. I mean, this is the same Philly team that lost to, the Redskins Commanders. I'm sorry, not the Redskins, but the Commanders on Monday Night Football when they forced Hurts into turning the ball over 3 times.
Gotcha. Well, I'm gonna just say the reason I say I'm hoping you're right, because one of these teams in the playoffs is my team, and I want Philly out the way, man. So I'm just being real.
Well, I know there's an ulterior motive to that, so I mean that's fine.
Right. So we'll see where Hurts is as far as his rehab and how the shoulder is looking. But if Hurts is looking good, they're gonna look good, man. AJ Brown, man, the Titans should have kept him, man. AJ Brown, and then you got that other receiver from Alabama, Devontae Smith. Them boys rough out there if Hurts is healthy, Phil.
It's definitely an interesting thing when you look at Philly and what they added when they got Brown, and how it opened up the offense for them. It's definitely very interesting. It's one of those things when you look at Hurts and his career and how people was always talking about how he Always relied on his legs a whole lot, and he couldn't throw, he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. But then when he gets a A1 stud receiver, what he starts looking like all of a sudden, guy throws for probably 4,000 yards or something like that this year. And, I don't even know what his whole numbers are, but I mean, he just looked like a totally different quarterback, with having, two good wide receivers, and that's the kind of thing that hurts, guys like, say, Lamar Jackson, for instance, when it comes to using their legs and their arm at the same time. You got to have at least one good receiver. Hell, he's got two.
Yeah, he does.
And a good tight end.
Yeah, they do have a good tight end, man. So, I mean, Philly been beating folks down all year, man. So, we'll see what happens. And if the Giants stand any chance to win this game, Saquon Barkley has to be very involved, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
If Saquon messes it around and has one of those games where, he goes for, 25 and 120, maybe 2 TDs.
Yeah.
Maybe that defensive, or I think he's a linebacker, Thibodeau.
Yeah.
If he ends up being a wrecking ball, Giants definitely got a chance there.
I totally agree. And the next game on the list, which could be the best game of the weekend, is Cincinnati versus Buffalo. So how do you feel about this game, Phil? You have anybody that you would pick to win? And if so, why?
I don't really have a favorite, but I would say this is a game that we wanted to see about 3 weeks ago because it would have set the tone for the whole playoffs.
I agree.
When looking at it, it would have set the whole tone for the whole AFC. I mean, at that time period, 2-3 weeks ago, Cincinnati actually could have had a chance of being the number 1 seed and having home field advantage.
Right.
All that had to happen was maybe, the Chiefs lose a game. Cincinnati, had they won that game on that Monday night, before the guy ended up having, the cardiac arrest and stuff. At that time period, both teams were playing really well, but Cincinnati was looking like they were getting ready to kind of take over the AFC and get ready to make a run at the Super Bowl, just like they did last year.
Right.
By virtue of everything kind of falling apart after that game, and all of the stuff with the coin tossing, and we're gonna have a neutral game, neutral site game if this team gets to the championship game and stuff like that. I think it kind of watered it down. I think this game here, whoever wins this game is going to win the AFC. They're going to beat the Chiefs if the Chiefs end up beating Jacksonville.
That's interesting, Phil. I mean, I can't say I disagree with that. But I think Cincinnati has the more complete team. And I think I want to say, what's the quarterback? Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow might be more complete of a quarterback than Josh Allen. I know that might sound crazy, but I think
you're spot on.
Josh Allen does a lot of things well. He might do some things better than Joe Burrow. But when it comes, in my opinion, what a quarter
better than Burrow is run.
He can throw that thing now too. Now,
no, Burrow's way better throwing the ball than him.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. But I think Burrow is more of a complete package of what I expect a quarterback to be, and that's why I think Cincinnati will probably win the game.
Well, I'm a kind of piggyback off of the point that I was making before. The reason why I believe whoever wins this game is going to win the AFC is because both teams already beat the Chiefs in the regular season.
Right.
A lot of people don't even, a lot of that kind of stuff kind of falls through, the cracks in the floor, so to speak, because people forget what happened in September and October. But those matchups really matter. Burrow is better than Allen because he protects the ball a little bit better than Allen. Mm-hmm. And his yards per average, his throwing yards per average is better also. I think that a lot of people take and believe that Josh Allen is just this really great quarterback, but in all actuality, his decision making is not really good. He was one of the top guys in the league in turning the ball over on both interceptions and fumbles.
Okay, and I know Cincinnati has Joe Mixon. They got what's the receiver they got from LSU, Phil?
Oh, you talking about Jabbar Chase?
Chase, yeah. I mean, they got a bad boy at receiver, quarterback, and running back.
They got three good receivers. They ain't just got two.
Yeah, T. Higgins. Who's the other one, Phil? What? My bad. What's the other one name? Do you know right off?
Right off the top of my head, I can't name all three of them, but I know it's Higgins and Chase, and I can't believe I can't draw the other guy's name right off the top of my head.
Yeah, they do have another good one though. I can't think of his name right off either. But Cincinnati, I think they got a lot to prove, man, because they feel like they should have won it last year, and they were right in it to close to the end, to be honest.
Yeah, Cincinnati is one of those sneaky teams. They actually could be, one of those teams that end up just being there every year, kind of like how the Chiefs are.
Right.
They might be the class of the AFC along with Buffalo. I mean, you got three young good quarterbacks and three really young teams. It's all about whether or not the teams end up spending the money to keep some of the core players. Right now, I would put Cincinnati kind of in the lead for being able to keep their young players because, they're only like year 3 of Burrow. Is it 3 or 4?
I want to say this is 3 because his first year he was injured.
So,
for half the year.
So you're still dealing with, a stud quarterback on a, rookie deal. You can still go out there and get you a couple plug and play, type players that are studs, on 1-2 year deals and, make you a run at the whole walk.
I totally agree with that. Now, this is the game I've been waiting to get to, Phil. The Dallas Cowboys versus the San Francisco 49ers in the Bay. So, tell me your thoughts on this game, Phil. And what do you think is going to take place and why?
That's going to be a very unique game.
Wait a minute.
To say the least. Because both defenses are playing lights out. Like, both defenses are probably playing the best in football right now. You have a defensive player of the year candidate in Bosa, who's going to definitely get after the quarterback. But then you got probably the guy that's right behind him for defensive player of the year and Parsons on the other side of the ball. So, I mean, the game could end up being 9-6, based off of the fact that, the 49ers are out there with a third string quarterback. Nobody really has any, they don't have any film on them just yet to know how to really draw up a game plan to, kind of snuff them out. But I mean, man, hey, pressure break pipes. You get after the quarterback, you already know what happens.
So I was talking to Trevor today of the Trevor Jackson podcast, and he was telling me that Frisco was 1-12 in a row. So guess what I told him, Phil? I said, y'all due for a loss. You did. So I'm going to tell you this, man. Dallas looked damn good against Tampa Bay the other night. And people can say, oh, well, they only won 8 or 9 games, however many they won. I mean, look, all we can do is play all Dallas can do is play who's in front of Dallas. I don't want to sound biased here, but Dallas is my team. And Dallas had a good mixture of running the ball and throwing the ball. I think Dak had the best game that I've possibly seen Dak play ever. So if Dallas can keep that same mix of, pass, like they had like 30 passing attempts, 30-some running attempts. If they can keep that up and keep feeding Tony Pollard the ball, Zeke on short yardage, Dak keep hitting those receivers. Did you see that catch Gallup made in the back of the end zone? CeeDee Lamb wide open. And them tight ends cut up, man. Schultz cut up, man. The defense look in tune, man. I'm ready for this game, Phil.
You have every right to be excited being a Cowboy fan. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dispute how they played on Monday night against Tampa Bay. However, Tampa Bay was one of the worst teams in the league all year. And they won their division with a losing record. So I'm not going to get too hyped about that with Dallas, especially considering they lost their regular season finale to Washington the way that they lost at the end of the year.
Hey, man, if a loss had to come, go on and get it out the way then, man. You know what
Well, you
I'm saying?
better have got it out the way.
Yeah,
You know, if history tells us anything, this should be a really good game.
it
Um,
should be.
this goes back probably 40 years. With Dallas and the 49ers playing in the playoffs, they've had some pretty epic games, going back to the 80s and the 90s. So yeah, I definitely would like to see a really good game between both teams. I don't really know how to really gauge it outside of the fact that I'm hoping that the quarterback for the 49ers don't choke under the pressure, because I mean, we're only talking about a guy that's only playing like maybe 4 or 5 games, maybe 6 games. He ain't played very long.
Exactly.
And the NFL has a very funny way of catching up to guys once they get a little bit of game film on you real fast.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Phil. And that defense ain't gonna play with him. I'm gonna just say that. Just like Parsons was after Brady, Parsons finna be after his ass too. You understand? So it's
Yeah.
they're not gonna make it easy on the rookie, Phil. First and foremost, and I heard you say it's not a lot of film on the guy. There is some film. Just not as an entire season of film, but there is some film.
There's enough. There's enough now.
Yeah, and San Francisco can be dealt with. You understand? So look, we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get you to pick a winner from each one of these games, Phil.
Okay.
Kansas City versus Jacksonville.
All right, now let me ask you a question. Am I picking winners based off of point spread, or am I just picking?
Just picking. No spread in the equation. Just picking.
Okay. Give me Kansas City over Jacksonville. That's pretty easy.
Okay. Giants and Eagles.
Give me the upset. Give me the Giants.
I like that. Okay. Cincy and Buffalo, Phil.
If I really had to lay it out on the line, I'm going to go with Cincinnati on the road.
Okay. And Dallas versus Frisco, Phil.
Kind of hard to pick against Frisco with the way that defense has been playing, man.
I can respect that. Now let me give you my picks. Kansas City versus Jacksonville, I pick Kansas City. Cincinnati versus Buffalo, I pick Cincinnati. The New York Giants versus the Eagles, I'm going to pick the Eagles, man. And Dallas versus Frisco, give me Dallas all day. Now, out of these teams that we pick, Phil, what two do you have going to the Super Bowl, Phil?
If the 4 that I pick go to the next round, I'm still going with Cincinnati.
Okay. NFC.
It would be hard pressed to not take Frisco, because that's who I picked, because I got, the Giants beating Philly. If Philly wins over the weekend, that's going to be an epic game with Philly and Frisco the following week, man.
Hey, we getting ahead of ourselves, man. You know what I mean? We don't know if Frisco going to win. You did? So, just what 2 teams you got in the Super Bowl, Phil?
If I had to pick a Super Bowl between all of the teams that's left, I go with a rematch from back in the late 80s. Bengals, Frisco.
Okay, I remember that game too. And Frisco ran away with it. So
actually, no, it was very, very, very close. That was where Jerry Rice caught. John Taylor caught a 7-yarder. Your boy Montana marched him down under the 2-minute warning, 80 yards.
I must be talking about the Denver one. That was
the Denver one was the blowout one.
Okay, gotcha.
The next year, yep.
Okay, so look, out of these teams, my 2 teams that I picked to make the Super Bowl would be Cincinnati and Dallas. And give me Dallas to host the Lombardi Trophy. You dig? So those are my picks, and I'm sticking with them. And Phil, man, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, man. Thank you for joining me. Anything you want to say before we get out of here, Phil?
Nah, man, I ain't got too much to say, man. I think it's definitely been a pleasure being asked to join and be on here. It's been fun.
Oh yeah, we'll do it again, Phil, man. And like I said, thank you for joining me, and this won't be the last time. And before we get out of here, Phil, guess what, man?
What's that, my man?
Boy, you should have known by now. Reezy does